Right, I'm sharing my computer screen. So are you able to see now the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Okay. So this is our actual unit. Earlier to this, I discussed about uh, random variables. Sorry, basic. Let me show that one also. Mm, okay. Yes, this one. So earlier we discussed with counting rules, random experiment, sample space, event, probability, conditional probability, law of probability, Bayes rule, right? And this is about sum rule, right? If you want to perform a task T1 in M ways and a task T2 in N ways, then any one of the task T1 or T2 can be done in M plus N ways. I said whenever you are thinking of R, I told you to add the possibilities. The next one is a product rule. Suppose if an experiment is consisting of two tasks, okay, where first task can be done in M ways and the second task can be done in n ways, then the total experiment can be carried out in m into n ways again. So whenever you are thinking of and, I told you to multiply the possibilities. Okay, these are the two basic principles of counting. One is called sum rule, other one is called product rule. After that we have seen some basic formulas and permutations and combinations. Permutation is nothing but an ordered arrangement or simply. So its formula is NPR. NPR formula was when R objects are taken from n distinct objects without repetition. And the next one is about combination. It is about selection. So its formula is NCR, where you are selecting R objects from n distinct objects without repetition. Okay, and after that you have seen some basic concepts of probability, like experiment is nothing but a process by which an observation is obtained. Okay, so you something like, okay, it's a process where you're expected some kinds of outputs. So there are two kinds of experiments we discussed, where in one experiment the outcome is unique. Okay, such experiments are called deterministic experiments, whereas some other experiments outcomes are not unique. So that therefore you cannot predict the possible outcome of the you cannot certainly say about which outcome is going to come after performing the experiment. So that is called indeterministic experiment or probabilistic experiment or random experiment, I said. So this probability is all about okay, random experiments. Okay, so an outcome of outcome is nothing but result of an experiment. So random experiment I discussed now. Sample space is nothing but the set of all possible outcomes. The set of all possible outcomes of a random experiment is a sample space, and each if an experiment has several stages, if you are performing a same task repeatedly or a number of times in an experiment, that each task is said to be a trial. Okay, so single performance of an experiment is said to be a trial. Okay, so event is nothing but a subset of sample space. Event is nothing but subset of sample space, any subset. So that subset can be null set or non it can be trivial subset or non-trivial subset. If it is a null subset, that is called impossible event. If it is a whole subspace, that is called a certain event. And okay, so mutual exclusive events means no two events should be sharing a point, so their intersection must be empty set. They're said to be mutual exclusive events, and their union, the entire union of all the given set of events is the whole sample space. That is said to be collectively exhaustive events. And what do you mean by equally likely? If each event, if the chance of occurrence of all the events are same, that is said, they are said to be equally likely events. Something like if you are throwing a die, okay, the chance of occurring of one is same as chance of occurring as two. The same is for chance of occurring of six. Therefore, all these are all okay. When you throw a die, getting any number in between 1 to 6, okay, they all will have same chance of occurrence. Therefore, they're equally likely events. Similarly, in the case for head and tail, when you toss a coin, head and the tail, okay, are two equally likely events. And we have seen independent and dependent events also. We say two events are said to be independent if happening or non-happening of one event is not affecting the happening or not happening of the other event. So those events are said to be independent, otherwise they are said to be dependent. And standard example for this is taking a ball consecutively from a box containing a balls. Okay, so if you are taking balls consecutively without replacement, that phenomena is going to be those events are going to be dependent events, I said. Whereas if you're making those trials with replacement, okay, there are some colored balls, okay, some white colored and red colored, and you are taking balls and replacing back before performing the next trial, then that is they are said to be independent events, I said, the outcomes of those trials. Okay, and this is the classical definition of probability. It says for any event A, probability of an event A is nothing but the number of favorable outcomes by total number of possible outcomes. It is nothing but if you are considering about a finite probable spaces, finite sample space, then you can consider this cardinality of A by cardinality of S. That means number of elements of A by the total number of elements in the sample space. And later we discussed about axioms on probability. There are three important axioms actually. It says the first axiom says probability of any event is in between 0 to 1. It can never be beyond 0 and 1. Okay, always probability must be 0 to 1. If the probability of an event is 0, we say it is an impossible event. If the probability of an event is 1, we say that is a sure event or certain event. And second axiom says that probability of the entire sample space is 1. These are all axioms. Okay. Next one is for any two mutual exclusive events. What do you mean by mutual exclusive events? A intersection B equal to empty. So if A intersection B equal to empty set, null set, then P of A will be equal to P of A plus P of B. If you are telling something is probability function, okay, that function has to satisfy these three conditions. I said any function satisfying these three conditions are going to be called as a probability function. So this can be generalized to n events, a sequence of events also, not necessarily finite. Even if you have an infinite set of mutually exclusive events, probability of their union must be equal to infinite series sum of the individual probabilities of individual events. Okay. After that, we have seen some properties of probabilities also, like probability of an empty set is 0, probability of A complement, other way of writing it is P of A bar. P of A bar equal to 1 minus P of A. Whenever A is a subset of B, we have seen that P of A less than or equal to P of B. P of A minus B equal to P of A minus P of A intersection B. These are all set theoretical kind. We have you draw the Venn diagram, then you will understand this. A minus B is nothing but elements of A but not in B. That is nothing but removing A's intersection B from A. Okay, so P of A minus B is nothing but P of A minus P of A intersection B. This we also have written like this, A minus B is nothing but A intersection B complement is it. P of A minus B is nothing but P of A intersection B complement, and this is a law of additivity. P of A and B equal to P of A plus P of B minus P of A intersection B. This is true for any two events A and B. In particular, if A and B are mutual exclusive events, then A intersection B will be empty. P of empty set will be 0. Then the axiom remains true. And generalization to two events is three events. So this law of additivity can be applied to three events like this also. P of A and B is equal to P of A plus P of B plus P of C minus P of A intersection B minus P of B intersection C minus P of C intersection A plus P of A intersection B intersection C. And based on these properties, we have done some problems also. You can refer your notes to understand the uses of these properties. Later, we discussed about conditional probabilities. Okay, so it is this is a notation for conditional probability of an event with the assumption that an event B is already happened. Okay, P of A given that B has happened is given by P of A intersection B by P of B. Okay, provided P of B is not equal to 0. Okay, similarly you can define for P of B given A also, that is P of B intersection A by P of A. And if we cross multiply these two, you will get a definition for joint probability if you are trying to write the formula in terms of P of A intersection B. Okay, then this is called joint probability. Joint probability can be expressed in terms of conditional probability also. So P of A intersection B equal to P of B intersection A. Therefore, you can write the joint probability in two ways: P of A into P of B given A, or P of A into P of B given A. Okay. And for independent events, for happening or not happening of A is not going to be affected by happening or not happening of B. Therefore, probability of A given B will be remains P of A because B is not going to affect this A. Similarly, okay, P of B given A will be equal to P of B. Okay, A and B are not affected by their counterparts. Otherwise, if this is not true, then they are said to be dependent. Okay. So for independent events, P of A intersection B is equal to P of A into P of B. Because of this rule, I can replace P of A given B with P of A, or I can replace P of B given A with P of B. So for independent events, P of A intersection B equal to P of A into P of B. Okay, and after that we have extended this to k tasks. Suppose a sequence of tasks are occurring like this: S1, okay, S1 followed by S2, S2 followed by S3, and so on Sk. So then probability of A can be written like this. Okay, P of A. Okay. Okay, so this is about law of total probability, right? So these set of events are mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. That means these union of all these events are going to be the whole sample space, and no two events are going to are going to share any point. In that case, if you take any event which is a subset of a sample space, that can share, this event can share some of the points of these samples events, then the law of total probability can be written like this. So something like this: you have a rectangular box is a whole sample space where this rectangular box is partitioned by S1, S2, and so on Sk, and later you have a event A which is a subset of the sample space. This event is sharing points with S1, S2, and so on Sk. So A intersection S1, A intersection S2, and so on, A intersection Sk. These are going to be mutually exclusive events. Therefore, you can write the joint probability. So these are all mutual exclusive events. Therefore, you can write the total probability like this. Okay. So for doing, we did problems on total probability using the Venn diagram. Tree diagram. If you remember, we did some problems using tree diagram. Similarly, Bayes rule is extension to total probability. Okay. So this is with this is about posterior probability. Okay. So if S1, S2, and so on mutual exclusive and exhaustive events. Okay. These conditions are already there in total probability. Okay. Only thing. Okay. If an event A occurs, then the posterior probability of Si given that the event A is happening. Okay. Previously, the sequence of events A1, A2, and S1, S2, S3 are happened. After that, the event A is happening, but here it is the other way. Okay. Uh, event we are trying to find out this. If the event A is already happened, then what is the probability that event A is happened through this event SI, particular event SI. Okay, so these are all the basic concepts of probability. Okay, so that we have seen, and we also did problems on this. I hope you're having uh, uh, so notes on this. Okay, we discussed problems on this also, something like this. Not this one, I think. I think we discussed problems like this, if you remember. Okay, their solutions are also discussed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so after that, we entered into Unit 1, which is the your syllabus starting with this random variables. Okay, and don't think that problems will come directly from Unit 1. Whatever the concepts I discussed just now, total probability and Bayes theorem. Okay, questions may come on total probability and Bayes theorem also. I shall give some additional problems. Okay, after reviewing uh, this 2.5 units. Okay, so please practice problems on those things also, total probability and Bayes theorem and conditional probability. You may get problems. So we are at this stage. We initially defined a random variable. Random variable is nothing but real valued function defined on the sample space. Okay, so basically it is a function. Random variables are denoted with capital letters. Random variable is simply denoted with r dot v. R dot v is nothing but random variable. It is a real valued function. That what do you mean by real valued function? If the range is the range is a subset of real numbers, that is said to be a real valued function. That means if each output is a real number, that is called as a real valued function. So this real valued function defined on the sample space is said to be a random variable. We have seen a classic example for this. That is tossing three coins. The possible outcomes of this tossing three coins is this one: head, 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 tail. These are the 8 possibilities that I have shown through Venn diagram. So this is a sample space containing 8 possible outcomes. And on this sample space, please listen carefully. On this sample space, I can define a random variable uh, uh, as per my wish. Okay, I can define a random variable in n number of ways on a sample space. One way of defining the random variable is like this. This is only one way for this sample space of defining the random variable. So how we defined random variable x equal to number of heads appeared. Okay, when three coins are tossed. This is how I defined. So according to this definition, the function is mapped like this. Okay, so number of heads appeared. Okay, so in this case, only one case where there are three heads appeared. So this is mapped to three. So there are three cases where two heads are mapped to two. There are three cases where one head is mapped to two. Okay, like that. Okay, so only these so they are taking 0 1 2 3 0 1 2 3. Okay, there are three cases where only one head is appearing, right? So after that, I said there are two kinds of random variables. One is discrete, other one is continuous. Discrete random variable is a random variable where it is taking a value or a finite set. Okay, or it is taking any value or a countably infinite set. Okay, So something like you can count, okay, one after one after the other. Okay, so such a something like marks of a student in a class, marks of a student in a class. Okay, so such kind of random variables are said to be discrete random variables. Uh, okay, so if a continuous random variable is a random variable where it can take any value over the range of values, something like height of a student. Okay, or temperature, room temperature. I said it can be range over from 5 degrees to 40 degrees. I said it can be 23.1264, 27.5679, like that. Okay, so if such a random variable is said to be continuous random variable. So all the events now can be, instead of denoting with sentences, I said these random variables can be described now in terms of mathematical equalities and inequalities. So saying x equal to 2 is nothing but two heads are occurring, exactly two heads are occurring. Saying x greater than 1, saying x greater than 1, saying means at least more than one head. Okay, x greater than or equal to 1 means at least one head. X less than or equal to 2 means at most two heads. 1 less than x less than 3 means number of heads in between 1 and 2, 1 and 3, and so on. Okay, so this random variable replaces the disk. You can use this random variable to describe the events mathematically. Okay, so random variable maps only sample points to numbers. It doesn't do anything else. Okay, random variable is just a mapping from elements of the sample space to the numbers. Okay, so now because elements of the sample space are not necessarily numbers, it can be some symbols or anything, any symbol. That symbol is replaced now with number. Now for these numbers, if you are associating some values which satisfying certain conditions, then such map, that association will become a function. Such a function we will call it as a probability function. Okay, so probability function maps values of the random variable to values of the random variables to the probabilities. Okay, so so if you are describing that in the form of a table, okay, that is possible only for a discrete random variable. This table kind of mapping can be shown only for a discrete random variable. Such a table can be called as a probability distribution. What is probability distribution is described here. Probability distribution is a function f of x. This is a probability distribution. I'm talking about probability function, right? This probability function is classified as two types. One is probability mass function. Other one is probability density function. Okay, PDF. Okay, probability density function for a continuous random variable. Okay, probability mass function is for a discrete random variable. Discrete random variable. Okay, so for a discrete case, probability, this function value should always be non-negative. Sum of all the functional values must be 1, and probability that a random variable is taking a particular value can be given by f of x. Okay, so any function satisfying these three conditions can be called as a probability mass function, or the probability mass function has to satisfy these three conditions, I said. Okay, later I discussed about cumulative distribution. Cumulative distribution is nothing but sum of the probabilities up to x. If I say capital F of 2, capital F of 2 is nothing but sum of the probabilities up to 2. Up to the random variable is taking 2. That means capital F of 2 means f of 0 plus f of 1 plus f of 2. So capital F of x means f of t less than or equal to x. You have to take the sum of all the functional values up to x. Okay. So see, in a similar way, I defined a probability density function also. Density function also will have the similar properties. Only thing, sigma will be replaced with integration. Total integration must be 1. Total integration must be 1. And I said there is no point in asking about the probability at a particular point for a continuous random variable. It will be almost 0. Okay, because it is almost impossible event. So you can, there is meaningful, it is meaningful only for a continuous random variable probability to ask in between a and b, probability that a random variable takes in between two numbers a and b. that can be given by a to b f of x dx. Like cumulative distribution function, here this sigma is replaced with integration, integral from minus infinity to x up to x, sum of integration up to x. Okay, and only thing you have to remember is inclusion or exclusion of the endpoints of the interval for a continuous random variable doesn't matter, but it matters for a discrete random variable. Okay, so because a continuous random variable probability is nothing but integration, this integration is not going to be affected by inclusion or exclusion of single point or 2 points, but that matters for a probability distribution. And I also said distribution function is rather different from probability distribution. By default, the distribution function is nothing but cumulative distribution. So when you say distribution function refers to capital F of x. Probability distribution refers to small f of x. It can be PMF or PDF. So use the correct language to denote the functions. Okay, what functions you are considering, call them with proper terminology. And after that we have seen some attributes. On the random variable, which are nothing but expectation and expectation variance and variant standard deviation. And expectation of a random variable is defined like this. Okay, in two cases, x is discrete summation over all x into f of x, and if x is continuous, instead of this summation is replaced with integration. I think there is a mistake here. I should put a minus no here. Okay, so that is integral from minus infinity to infinity x f of x dx. Okay, and these are some properties of expectation. It is acting like a linear operator. Okay, constants can be taken out. E of kx equal to k into e of x, and e of ax plus b is equal to a into e of x plus b. And this is proof for sigma, discrete random variable. Similar proof can be given for a continuous random variable by replacing sigma with the integration I said. And after that we discussed about variance. Variance is denoted like this. Okay, variance of x. Variance of x is denoted with sigma x square or sigma square of x, which is nothing but expectation of x minus mu whole square. Again, it is defined whether it is a discrete random variable or a continuous random variable. DRV for discrete random variable, CRV for continuous random variable. Okay, x minus mu whole square into f of x. What is mu? Mu is nothing but expectation of x. The symbol for expectation is mu. Did I write here? Yes. The expectation symbol is mu. So x minus mu whole square into f of x, or in case of a continuous random variable, minus infinity x minus mu whole square into f of x. Okay, and these are some properties of variance. Variance of x plus k equal to variance of x. Variance of x plus k equal to variance of x we proved. You can go through it. It is a simple algebraic simplification. Okay, variance of x plus k equal to variance of x, and variance of kx. Variance of kx we proved it as k square into variance of x. Variance of kx is k square into variance of x. I think we also derived one formula for variance. Okay, so variance of x is e of x square minus e of x whole square. See, variance of x equal to e of x square minus e of x whole square. This is the formula. This is the definition. Okay, if somebody asks you define variance of a random variable, don't give this. This is the formula for the random variable. Define a variance of a random variable means this way of giving the definition is good. Okay, so for doing problems you can use this formula. And after that, I think standard deviation is nothing but positive square root of this variance. Standard deviation is the positive square root of the variance. Okay, so that's the whole theory. That's the whole theory in the first unit. Okay, later I think we discussed some problems. Okay, on the first unit. Okay, So we discussed some problems like this. I said a table is said to be distribution table only when sum of all the functional values is equal to 1. That is a basic property. If the sum of all the tabular values is not equal to 1, that cannot be called as a probability distribution or distribution table. So here it is given that it is a distribution table and asked to find out k. So we used that property, sum of all the function values must be equal to 1. So that I picked a k value. And after that we did some problems like this. Okay, so some pair of days problem where we have seen x equal to the sum. When you throw a pair of days, you'll get some value can be 1 1 to 6 6, some value can be 2, some can be 2 to 12. So various possibilities will be there. So you're asked to determine that probability is sum is 2 to 5, exclusive, inclusive, semi-exclusive, and so on. These things we have done with the help of a distribution table. We prepared a distribution table for it, and by looking at the distribution table, we picked the required values and simplified. That you can see here. See, I think we prepared a distribution table. See, where is it? Pair of days or oh, this is not sum, I think. What is that problem? This is about minimum of two numbers. It is not sum of the two numbers. It is minimum of the two numbers, and minimum of the two numbers can be 1 1. Minimum is 1, and maximum is 5 6 or 6 5 6 6. That maximum is 6. So the random variable equal to the random variable is defined as minimum of two numbers, minimum of the two numbers. Therefore, the random variable can take the value from 1 to 6. For that, we computed the favorable outcomes for each number, and we computed the probabilities, and those probabilities are associated with the functional values, and this mapping is shown here in the form of a table that is called a distribution table. Once you have the distribution table, I think the probabilities can be computed, whatever is asked. Okay, something like if 2 less than x less than or equal to 5 means what values I have to take? 2 less than x less than or equal to 3 5 means what? X can take, can you tell me?
3 4 5.
3 4
3,
5.
4, 5.
That means you just have to add 3 probabilities: 3 4 5. 7 plus 5 12, 12 plus 3 15 by 36. So like that, just by looking at the distribution table, whatever the problem is asked, you can simply do it. Okay, and make sure that sum of these probabilities is 1. Okay, so after before going to the solution, make sure that yours is a distribution table. In the second part, you're asked to determine the cumulative distribution. Cumulative distribution we have seen, that is nothing but sum of the probabilities, and this is the graph of the cumulative distribution. Okay, and this is the graph of the probability function. See, f of 1 is taking 11 by 36, f of 2 is taking 9 by 36, f of 3 is taking 7 by 36. Okay, I don't think you will be asked to draw such figures in examinations. I have just drawn this only for your better understanding. Like you can view this graphically also. That's only my intention. Okay, so don't worry about this. And so later we have seen these problems. Okay, so after that, if you're asked to find out the mean formula, also we have written x into f of x. So we have the, once you have the distribution table, whatever is asked you can do it happily, provided you remember the formula. Okay, so I simply wrote the formula and substituted the values. Use your calculator to get this value. And variance, if you're asked to find out the variance, this is the definition. But instead of definition, you can use the formula also. E of x square minus E of x whole square. How E of x square is defined? Summation x square into density mass function f of x, and 1 square into f of 1 plus 2 square into f of 2 plus, and so on. Again, simply substitute the values. Use your calculator to get this value. Standard deviation means positive square root of the variance. So instead of a discrete random variable, you are given problem on continuous random variable. Initially, we were asked to find out k, and how do you find out k? Total integration must be 1. So here it is defined for 0 to 1 as one function. Otherwise, it is another function 0. So we splitted the entire interval of integration as minus infinity to 0 plus 0 to 1 plus 1 to infinity. Beyond 0 to 1, the functional value is defined as 0. So minus infinity to infinity becomes 0 to 1 only. Simply you integrate and get the value of k. Once you have k, substitute that k here. Now k is replaced with 3 by 2. So once you have 3 by 2, then whatever the probability is asked, you simply apply the integration formula. Probability that a less than x less than b is integral a to b f of x dx. So substitute those lower limit and upper limit. Use your techniques of integration to compute these probabilities. Similarly, in a variance and expectation also. Okay, x into f of x integration. Variance is e of x square means mu square. Mu is already computed here. And e of x square means instead of sigma you are having integration x square f of x. Okay, standard deviation is positive square root of this variance. Okay, so in a similar way we did some more problems. We have done a variety of problems on expectation and variance. Okay, and I said this is an important model. You remember dice infinite series problem. Okay, so this problem you just go through it. Okay, so that's an important problem, bet value. Okay, so these are all different kinds of problems. Okay, so so whatever the theory is there, based on the theory only you have these problems. I think I have given some homework problems also, so I hope you have completed these homework problems. So this is all about review of basic probability. Review of basic probability and first unit random variables and probability distribution. So what you do today, you just go through your notes and try to redo problems on your own. Don't look at the notes again. Don't try to understand what I discussed earlier. You pick up the problem and try to redo it on your own. So then only your confidence you will build your confidence. Is that okay? So still if you have any doubts, you can ask me tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll review unit 2. I will review unit 2. So before unit 2, if you have any doubts until unit 1, you can ask me tomorrow. So after that, clearing that, I will discuss. I will review unit 2. Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I will be stopping the class with this. Let me take the attendance.